Cleaner, is that you? Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Kevin Zwicker from Fast Count coming at you. Before I get into this video, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe. Next weekend is AEW All In, the biggest show of the year on AEW's calendar, highlighted by, of course, the main event between Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. And going into this match, I think that no matter what was going to happen when it comes to this build, Will Ospreay was always going to be the big babyface coming home, and Kenny Omega was always going to have to play the heel. And we kind of seen this build where it was much of a babyface on babyface thing, where there wasn't a lot of heat heading into this match. And I know that this is going to be a really good in-ring match, but I needed some more. Give me something that is going to really get my gears going, my engines revving. And tonight, we saw Kenny Omega go full-blown heel mode on Will Ospreay. The return of the Cleaner, the best bout machine. Earlier in the night, we had a sit-down face-to-face between these guys, very reminiscent to Steve Austin and The Rock's face-to-face back then. And we see them talk about the history between these two guys. Will Ospreay mentioned how he kind of viewed Kenny Omega as a hero. And Kenny Omega, he heard Will Ospreay's name bubbling on the scene, and he didn't really understand the hype behind it. Then eventually, when they met in the ring later on, he started to understand it a little bit more. We all kind of know the history of Kenny Omega in New Japan and Will Ospreay in New Japan. When Kenny Omega went off to start AEW, Will Ospreay kind of filled in the shoes. And then he talked about how during COVID, how things were really, really strenuous for the company and how it looked as if there was many times that things was going to go belly up. And then they talked about their Wrestle Kingdom match and how Kenny Omega mentioned how if Will Ospreay was doing the job that he was meant to be doing, selling buy rates, selling tickets, that they wouldn't have needed to call Kenny Omega back in to help save their ass, pretty much. Then we see Kenny Omega talking real spicy about Will Ospreay and his family. Then later in the night, we see the Elite. They have a main event match against the Don Callis family. Kenny Omega and the Elite win. Will Ospreay, he confronted Kenny Omega before he went out to the match behind the curtain. Then after the Elite won, we see Will Ospreay confront Kenny Omega again. Kenny Omega mentions his son once again. Then they start brawling. Kenny Omega, he puts Will Ospreay through the table with a one-winged angel. Things are really starting to heat up between these two guys. But for me, what it feels kind of now is it feels like Kenny Omega is a heel by default. Very reminiscent to the build-up between Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan heading into their SummerSlam match in 2005, where you know that going into this match, no matter what, Will is going to be cheered because it's going to be in the UK. So Kenny Omega by default has to kind of be a heel, but at the same time, the people don't want to boo Kenny like that, just like how they didn't want to boo Shawn Michaels like that. So the dynamic is a little bit interesting. I don't think that the outcome of this match is in doubt at all. I think that everybody kind of feels and sees that Will Ospreay is going to finally complete his destiny of becoming the AEW World Champion, but we need some form of a build that is really going to get us to emotionally invest outside of the fact that this is the hometown boy coming home to complete his destiny. And with Kenny, I feel like where it's better as a heel, I think that his run as the AEW World Champion was much more interesting as a heel than what his run as a babyface has been in the company for the most part. That we're getting the best of both worlds. We're going to see this story be completed, but we also are going to see Kenny Omega be much more interesting and much more devious in the ways that he is once he is the AEW champion. And with Don Callis not being involved, this is a solo Kenny Omega as a heel, and it's much more of a complicated and much more of a compelling story that way without a mouthpiece. And looking forward to this match. I think it's going to blow the house down. And I know just like a lot of you guys, I was already excited, but this kind of puts it a little bit more over the top. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Please remember to hit that like button and subscribe. I am Kevin Zwicker. I'm out.